It's another historic night at Yankee Stadium. Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig, along with the guy who kissed Elaine, Keith Hernandez, and we've got a lot to talk about as the Yankees once again generate history at the most historic place in sports. No team has ever lost the first two games at home and found a way to come back and eventually clinch this five-game series as the Yankees did tonight. But, Keith, I'm going to have to give the headline to my wife, who midway through the game said, the Yankees aren't winning, Oakland is just losing, and that's pretty much what happened tonight.
Well, the three errors they made, they cost them runs, and it's just like, I hate to use the term, but we're going to say it at the top of the show here. I think Oakland is going to have a long, long winter, and I hate the term, but I think they just choked.
Well, 8 errors if you list the hit by pitches, the badly timed walks, the errors themselves, not taking the extra base, all that undermined the Oakland A's. But enough about them. What about this team, this Yankees team that they took advantage? They took what was there for them to take. They took it, and Derek Jeter pulls off another heart-stopping play.
Well, he's just a great player, and this wasn't a type of play that won the game in Oakland, but it's certainly a type of game where I think it's another dagger in the heart of Oakland when you see the A's back on their heels and the New York, the Yankees, making the plays, hustling. It just they're champions.
And what about the fact that the Yankees bring some joy into a city that could really use some?
Well, I mean, this is just really, to come back down 2 and have to go out to Oakland and win both and come home here and take 3 straight. That says a lot.
Well, the atmosphere at Yankee Stadium sounded electric tonight. We'll get to Michael K. live. We'll be in both locker rooms. Certainly what we'll hear out of the Oakland A's locker room is anybody's guess, but there should be some bitter pills for this team to swallow, because you saw Jason Giambi get in Miguel Tejada's face. That could have been a tying run, and we'll be recapping this. We've got all the highlights and the sound from Yankee Stadium, but the Yankees made the most out of 10 hits, 5-3 the final score. Mike Stanton in relief gets the win. He was great. So was Ramiro Mendoza. So was Mariano Rivera. Mark Mulder did not have the same stuff he had in Game 1 at the stadium, as Jason Giambi and the A's waste his 4-for-4 performance. So here's the recap of what happened. In Game 1, it was a 5-3 A's win. Then the A's won again, 2-0. And then the Yankees got 1 home run off of Barry Zito, a great play by Derek Jeter that turned the series around without question. Then the ruthless Yankees won 9-2 in Game 4 in Oakland, taking both there. And then tonight at Yankee Stadium, winning by the same score as Game 1, 5-3. And so once again, the Yankees will play for a pennant, and they'll do it against the Seattle Mariners, who this season took away the long-standing Yankees record of 114 regular season wins with 116 of their own. They survived today, and it will be Game 1 on Wednesday, Game 2 on Thursday, and then Game 3 and Game 4 as the series switches to New York. And then at Yankee Stadium, this is a 2-3-2 series, remember, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we will be live on MSG following each of those network broadcasts with the same post-game coverage that you've come to expect here on the G Post-Game Report. So, Roger Clemens, not great, but man, he seemed to really get through it with a lot of grit.
Well, he's a gritty guy, and he's been there before. You can't say it was a good performance. We don't know. I'd like to see the interview and see how his leg felt. But looking at his numbers, it wasn't a great performance. The hit by pitch, I think Torre realized that he had made the right move and taken him out.
Yeah, the Yankees got 4 1/3 out of Roger Clemens, who at one point on the TV radar gun hit 97 miles an hour. Whether that was correct or not, he still was throwing 93, 94, 95. 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, and 3 runs. In steps Mike Stanton. I thought it was a little early to use Mike Stanton, but Joe Torre knows how to push the buttons on his team, and it's pretty clear that Mark Wohlers and Jay Witasic were not seeing Game 5 action tonight.
Well, like we talked earlier, they missed the big guy that's in Seattle now, the right-hander.
Right. Jeff Nelson.
And I felt this was the big out. It was about a 2-run game at that point, or a 1-run game.
1 run.
And you had Giambi up, who went 4-for-4, and, a home run. You can't let the A's get back into this game. They have just been blowing it. You've got to keep the hammer on them, and that was, to me, that was the big out. He didn't get the out, but he got out of the inning.
These Game 5s are great. They're so wild. You never know what you're going to see. Tim Hudson comes on in relief for the first time in his career. And out in the 7th inning in the Yankee bullpen, you had Mike Mussina and Andy Pettitte warming up. They never came in, but they were ready to go.
Well, I'm sure Joe is very pleased about that. And that's, I think, now, too, with the strength. The A's had the Yankees had a little more depth in their bullpen with Stanton and Rivera and Mendoza.
So the A's, they got some questions to answer. They took some hits, Jermaine Dye leaving with the broken leg, and then they lose their catcher, Ramon Hernandez, with a bad wrist early in this game. And Greg Myers, who came on to relieve him, was cold off the bench and threw one to the ground. And that's all part of the video recap that we have now. Let's go back to the very beginning. From an Oakland standpoint, the best start they could have imagined. They had not hit with runners in scoring position, but after a leadoff Johnny Damon double, Jason Giambi came through with an RBI that gave the Oakland A's a lead. Just like that, they took it. So now it's 1-0. And then Terrence Long would lead off the second inning with a leadoff double. And the Yankees would get Giambi eyes because Jeremy Giambi came in. And just like that, it was 2-0 Oakland. And the karma right then was not good for the Yankees.
Well, it was something that Oakland had to do, get off quick and get out. Look at the wide turn there, and it was a bad throw home. That was a strong throw home. Long is thrown out. But, I mean, it was important for the A's to get off hot and get out in front. But the Yankees showed the resilience.
All right, now keep in mind on this play the bad throw of Shane Spencer because it will factor in later as to whether the A's should have taken an extra base. Shane Spencer did not have a good arm night out there in right field. So now Mark Mulder's staked to a 2-0 lead, and after his first game performance in this series, you thought, wow, those 2 runs could be huge. But the Yankees get to Mulder in the bottom of the second inning, starting with Jorge Posada. Posada pulls one through the left side, so the Yankees have a base runner on. That brought up Shane Spencer, trying to make do for the throw he put on the grass. He forces Mulder to duck out of the way. Then Scott Brocious, well, we're going to have to say he got hit by the pitch because that's the call, but we could have an Academy Award performance as he it got me on the toe, and Ed Rapuano said, okay, bases loaded, you head to first base. Check it out. Did he get hit or not?
It's hard to tell here, but this was the critical
Keith, no
play.
way. No
I don't
way.
think he got hit. I know Art Howe came out and said he wanted to look for a scuff mark.
Oh, here, bases loaded. Alfonso Soriano. He's no rookie. That gives the Yankees a 2-2 tie. They would eventually leave the bases loaded, but boy, Yankee Stadium was into it. Ron Gant out there because of the injury to Jermaine Dye, and his throw is way wide, and Spencer slaps the fist onto the plate, so the game was tied. Now, both starting pitchers got better after that. Mulder did, and Roger Clemens. It was like a restart in the game after the first 2 innings.
And it's like they were both geared up to pitch, particularly Clemens. He was throwing a lot of fastballs up out of the strike zone, and he couldn't get his splitter over. So it seemed like everybody kind of settled in, but then the A's make defensive errors behind Mulder again.
Oh, they virtually imploded right before our eyes. In fact, in the bottom of the third inning, the Yankees got a run to go ahead without a hit. Watch how it happened. Remember, Greg Myers has just entered the game because of the injury to Ramon Hernandez. Bernie Williams strikes out. Greg Myers has him, right? Oops. It goes past Jason Giambi. The Yankees have something going.
Now, Giambi could have made this play. He's not the most mobile guy. I mean, the throw is bad, but it's not that bad where he can make the play.
Now Tino Martinez with a butt buster. He gets hit, and Mulder now seems to be coming apart a little bit. An uncomfortable Art Howe watches a great at-bat from Shane Spencer, a walk to load the bases. And now Scott Brocious, in the midst of an awful series, sends a dribbler to Eric Chavez. Gold Glover? You got to be kidding me. Tino Martinez does a fabulous job of timing his run to distract Chavez at third base. Watch the eyes on this replay.
Why is he playing so deep? He was practically playing out in the outfield. It's ridiculous. And that's the reason why this play happened. That's why Tino was in front of him here.
So the Yankees grabbed the lead. The A's had to be stunned at that point, 3-2. You know, in a basketball game or a hockey game, the coach would call a timeout to get everybody together to say, calm down.
It's like it was probably one of the worst defensive games played by a team I've seen in a long time. And to have it in a Game 5, I mean, it's just too much.
But Art Howe couldn't call a timeout, and the implosion continued in the bottom of the fourth inning. Chuck Knobloch was on base, on first base, and watch what happened. They pick him off, but then they unpick him off.
Well, this is not the greatest throw to Giambi, but we get a better angle here coming out of it. But Giambi just is not a real mobile first baseman. He comes towards the pitcher like he should. The throw's a little off, but he just didn't know how to make the throw. He can't make the adjustment.
Now the ruthless Yankees take advantage. Randy Velarde, who started, puts down a perfect bunt, and then Derek Jeter just misses hitting a home run, but what the heck. In this game, a huge run, a sacrifice fly. It's the way they do it in the baseball book. Move the runner, get him home. So the Yankees have a 4-2 lead as Chuck Knobloch scores, and the A's pay for another mistake. Oh, boy.
Well, okay, I guess we're going to go to Art Howe.
Yes, we are. We'll have more of the video recap. Let's listen to what he's got to say.
Can you hear that? Can you hear the question?
Team played tonight.
Oh yeah, this far, and you want to play a good, solid game, and you know if you lose playing well, you tip your hat. Tonight we contributed quite a bit to our demise. It's too bad.
Art.
What do you think hurt your team most? The fact that the Yankees got a second look at Mulder, or the fact that the stage here, the atmosphere? What do you think hurt you most?
What hurt your team most tonight?
Our defense. It didn't have anything to do with the stage or whatever. We just didn't play well defensively tonight. That happens. I mean, we just picked a bad time to do it.
Yes.
Just wanted to know what happened to Hernandez to sprain his wrist. Was it at the plate or was it?
How did Hernandez injure his wrist?
Well, it had been bothering him the whole series, and actually we gave him an injection yesterday, and it was feeling better, and I actually put him in the game late yesterday, if you recall. And as far as I knew, he was fine as far as this game was concerned. He let me know after the second inning that he was concerned with his throwing, that he might cost us the game, and I wish I had known it before the game started.
Tom?
Was there any one play that stands out, maybe Bernie Williams getting the 2 extra outs, the fly ball, and then the strikeout?
Was there any one play that stands out, perhaps Bernie Williams, the 2 outs?
The team's field and dugouts field.
Well, that certainly was a big play. I mean, you talk about a cat. He had a few lives out of that, and we certainly contributed.
Bob?
Big year for you, Art, regardless of tonight. Do you think the atmosphere tonight and the tension of this game in any way affected your team?
Did the atmosphere or tension tonight affect your team at all?
I really don't think so. I hope not, because we played the first 2 games here in the same kind of atmosphere, same kind of pressure, really, and we played well. And we've played under tough situations all season long and have been able to play well. We just, for whatever reason, we didn't make the plays tonight, and that's the way it goes.
Yes.
I know you said the pressure wasn't it, but you think there was more pressure to win Game 3 than there was Game 1 and 2?
Was there more pressure to win Game 3 than 1 and 2?
I don't. The pressure was on the Yankees in Game 3. I mean, we were playing with the house's money at that time. But tonight, we actually were loosey-goosey, really. We jumped out. We scored a couple runs early. We were feeling good about ourselves. But like I said, defensively, we just didn't click.
Hal?
Art, what did you think of Clemens?
What did you think of Clemens tonight?
He battled, but you know, we scored 3 off him. We had him in trouble, but he gave them what they needed, I guess, and their bullpen did the rest.
Mike?
Could you talk about looking back, the importance of the play Jeter made that night, and then in Game 3, and then the play tonight, and just what he does for their team, what you see in the other dugout?
Can you talk about the importance of what Jeter brings to a team, the play he made in Game 3 and the play he made tonight?
Well, I guess that's the reason he's wearing so many rings. I mean, this kid is as good as they come. Whenever they need a big play, he's there to make it. Whenever they need a big hit, he gets it. I think they got a new prime time.
Rich?
Art, how do you see the series now between the Yankees and Seattle?
How do you see the series between Yankees and Seattle?
I'd rather not think about it, to be honest with you, but it should be a great series. Both clubs are solid from top to bottom, and we were hoping to go to Seattle from here, but we're going home, and hopefully I'll be here again next year at this time with a better outcome.
Bob?
Art, in the one play when Tejada stopped at second, didn't take third, what was the confusion there in his line? Did you speak to him about it?
Where was the confusion with Tejada, on the play with Tejada going?
I really couldn't tell you. I don't know what transpired there, and I really didn't ask what was going on, so you'd have to ask him.
We'll take it.
He would have scored on that fly ball that had he made third. He would have had an effect on the game that way.
Definitely.
We'll take a couple more, Tom.
The 2 errors, the Chavez error, Tino get a lot of credit for the base running there, cutting right in front of him, and the pickoff play also.
You talk about the Chavez era and the pickoff play.
Well, the Chavez error, the ball kind of stayed down on him. That's why he didn't make that play. He was expecting to come up a little bit more, and it kind of scooted on him. and that's why he made the error there, the pickoff play. When G caught the ball, he was off balance catching it, and he never totally regained his balance to make the throw to second. That's what happened there, I think.
Al?
Yeah, you left here, you had him on the ropes 2-0. Messina, Duque, you lose Dye on the Jeter play. If you had to pick one thing why you're not going to the American League Championship, what would it be?
Can you look to one thing that maybe is a reason you're not going to the next round?
Well, first of all, I want to go on record again. I said that we had a lot of baseball left after we won those first two. I wish I had been wrong, but I really felt that it wasn't going to be that easy. But I think Messina was a key to it.
Thanks, Art. Appreciate it.
Boy, that's a tough room to be in. Everybody's being very careful to ask questions. They feel, in a way, bad for Art Howe. He didn't throw those balls away. And that team, they've been focused since February. They emotionally overcame an 8-18 start. They were one of the hottest teams in the American League for the last 3 quarters of the season. And now suddenly, because they couldn't play the game right, they're not going on. Now let's show you another mistake that the Oakland A's made. Top of the 5th inning, Miguel Tejada will get hit by Roger Clemens and get hit hard. This was the last thing that Joe Torre needed to see. So a runner on at first. Tejada was attended to. Looked like he took it off his hand. He was in a lot of pain. Clemens had thrown one over his head in the same at-bat. Tejada was glaring at Clemens, and then he came up and in, and the hit batsman put a man on. Mike Stanton on the first pitch to Jason Giambi into right field to score a run. Now watch what ensues after this play. Miguel Tejada did not advance to third base. He stopped about 3 strides after reaching the bag. Now remember, they have seen the throwing arm of Shane Spencer earlier in the game. When Giambi saw that he didn't go, he reacted angrily. And then, well, you have to assume that if Tejada was at third base, Chavez's fly ball would have tied the game at 4. It didn't happen, and when the inning was over, Jason Giambi went right at Miguel Tejada in front of everyone, for everyone to see, and got in his face. What do you think?
Well, I question whether doing it in front of everybody, you get him in the dugout. I know he's the leader of that club, but maybe it's something you wait and go inside to do. But Tejada was wrong. You can see in that second replay. As a base runner, you've got to look at the outfielders and know where they're playing. I know you got a short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium, but you saw that second replay from the camera over the third base, high over the third base dugout. He was 1 step away from second base. There should have been no hesitation on him going to third base. And Spencer was playing deep and fielded the ball deep. So that's another mental error.
You could argue that was the 8th such error in the game by Oakland. Now, Tim Hudson is brought in, the starter. He's never relieved before. I never like it when managers start using guys in situations they've never performed in. And you could argue this one. David Justice now pinch hits for Randy Velarde as Hudson brings it from the right side. And David Justice, who has been asleep for the postseason, puts one over the wall. And the Yankees have an insurance run that made the score 5-3. Boy, was that huge.
It was a big run, and it was a perfect setup. Joe had a very good bench, strong left-handed bench with Justice and O'Neill not playing today. He made the move, which is a no-brainer move. And Hudson, who threw well in relief, just got that pitch out over the middle, and Justice made him pay.
All right, so the A's are stunned. They're down 5-3, and Joe Torre once again rolls the dice for Mariano Rivera to get 6 outs. We go to the top of the 8th inning. Mariano Rivera is going to see the latest evidence that Derek Jeter is something special. After saving the series with his play in Game 3, he just said, you know what? I have a chance here to get an out, and I'm going to get it.
Well, look how he checks where he's at in the field at the last minute. I mean, this is just a great play.
And this is agonizing wait for Scott Brocious because he has to wait for the umpire to get there to ensure that the out call is made before grabbing the ball to make sure there's no further advance of the runner, which was Eric Chavez, who did take the extra base, but the Yankees will take the advanced base for that spectacular out any day.
It's just a great play. And Derek Jeter, he impressed me last year in the World Series, where I had a chance really to watch him for the first time. Over a 6-game series with the Mets, and he's impressive. He's just a great player.
And Mariano Rivera, for the second time in this series, did get the 6 outs, striking out Eric Burns of all people for the final out of the game. Meanwhile, Michael Kay talked to Joe Torre. This could be emotional as Torre grabbed Mayor Rudy Giuliani to bring him into the clubhouse to help celebrate, and he's a guy who could use a little celebrating too. Let's listen on what the two talked about.
Joe, your hat said it ain't over till it's over. I guess it was prophetic. Yogi's been a good luck charm. There's no question. He was in here tonight, before today, actually all day. The one thing about it, Michael, and it's so easy to get overwhelmed by the fact that you're down 2-0. But you have to realize that you still need to lose 3. And, one game, and I've been, so strongly opinionated on the one game turns the momentum. And it certainly gave us a little breath of fresh air, and Mike Mussina was the guy responsible for that.
Throughout this run, Joe, there have been so many different benchmarks, and you think that this team has done something that, well, it can't top this. Is this the best it's ever done? Is this the most incredible thing it's ever done?
Well, for not winning the World Series at this juncture, there's no question. I mean, you try to caution everybody. I know it's never been done because that's what the media is all about, to inform the people. And this thing has never been done. Nobody likes losing 2 at home and then going somewhere and expecting to beat a club that's hasn't been beaten in a month in their home ballpark. But this certainly is a topper for all the non-World Series victories.
Well, let's talk about what the stadium meant today. It seemed when Phil Rizzuto did that backflip recreation of what Jeter did, and it seemed like it was electric from the start. Joe, how much of a home field advantage did you have?
Well, this stadium, everybody's right on top of you. And, if Scooter comes back and throws out another first ball, I hope he doesn't try to imitate what Jeter did in the 8th inning, because we may not be able to get him back. That kid is something, and there's no question. I mean, Yankee Stadium, we're not intimidated by going on the road, but Yankee Stadium is a special place, and we just feel the heartbeat of the people.
Now let's go over this game. Roger Clemens, was he healthy? He really gutty and grittied it out, but what did he have?
Well, the difference, Michael, if I didn't like what I saw, we would have gone Andy early. But I liked the way he was just fearless. I mean, he just let it go. And then by the 5th inning, we knew that was going to be his last inning. Mm-hmm. And it just looked like he was just muscling, just making sure he didn't make a mistake. And he hit the Hodder, and it scared the hell out of me, because I thought he hit him worse than he did in the fingers. And he just wanted to make sure he didn't leave a ball out over the plate. But he had good stuff. He went after it, and we got as much as we can. And the only scary part right now, Michael, is I don't know what his future is right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure that he'll probably be able to pitch, but I'm not sure, how much time he's going to need.
Now, you used your relievers, and each reliever, it seemed like you took out an inning before you could have. I mean, they could have gone another inning. Why did you go that way, and were you committed to having Mariano pitching too today?
No question. I mean, Mariano was going to pitch the 8th inning. I didn't want Stanton before the 6th, but when Giambi came up with 2 men on base, again, we're not concerned about who wins the game. We just want to win it as a team. I was just, once we got to the 5th inning with a lead, Andy Pettit was thrown for exercise. Right? And the only reason he was thrown in the 8th inning, the 7th inning, just in the event that we didn't like what we saw with Brujo. But he seemed fine, and we wanted to give Andy plenty of time to get loose. And it was just, I can't explain it, Michael. This is a fantastic feeling.
All right, final thing. You didn't have to use Mussina. You didn't have to use Pettit. So you actually are set up pitching-wise for the ALCS great if you have a healthy Clemens. Do you mind taking that 3,000-mile flight right now?
Not at all. I mean, I guess the downside was a lot better than, if we lose this thing, at least we get a chance to go home, and you didn't have to get on a plane to go somewhere. But you certainly were looking forward to making this flight, even though we just came back this way last night.
Congratulations, Joe.
Thanks, Mike.
And we stay live at Yankee Stadium. Roger Clemens meeting with the media.
Numbers in my hat, and I went ahead and hiked the pants up for Duque just to have the opportunity. And a little strange coming out of the weight room and loosening up, but after I got outside, it was, I didn't really think about it. Yes.
Roger, you've been here for your share of emotional nights here at the stadium. I was wondering if you could tell us where this one sort of ranks.
You've been here for many emotional nights. How does this one rank with the crowd?
Well, where do you start as far as thanking people and just having the opportunity to go out there tonight? What our medical staff did to get me ready, to give me the opportunity, the treatment we've been doing. Our crowd was unbelievable. That's something that, again, reminds you as a player why you're so fortunate to be in a venue like this. It was incredible every time I got 2 strikes, the emotions they gave me. Especially, again, our fans, the city, everything that the city's gone through and our fans have gone through. just to give them the opportunity, something to cheer about was just a joy. But I can't thank them enough. They were so loud. It was incredible. I mean, again, it just reminds you, and I knew they would be ready tonight too, like our guys, but just real thankful. Again, Duque got us here. Moose, wonderful. Andy pitched a great game, just to have the opportunity. And, you know, before the game, Skip and Mel grabbed me in the doctor's office, and, I mean, we almost were chewing each other out. And but I just told him I'd be honest with him and let him know. And they hit a couple good splits. And shoot, I should just give my entire hat to the A's team. They came at me. They came at me hard, and they were awesome. It was just, you know, fun. You know, Jason was, I mean, every time he comes to the plate, just the challenges and the battles. I mean, I threw him everything I had tonight. And they were awesome. And for our guys to battle back, we had a couple opportunities in that game that I thought, you know, we were going to break it open, and I would be afforded maybe to, you know, cruise a little bit and not push as hard on this leg. Fortunate the ball actually hit me up in the that came up the middle, and Jeep made a great play on that one also. Him going into the stands was incredible. And I mean, it's hard to put into words, guys. This was you know, for us being backed in the corner to come out, it was like you said, I guess it was pretty emotional.
Hal,
Would you consider this the most important start of your career?
do you consider this the most important start of your career?
I think it was. I think again, I got to thank Mel and Skip, and again, Joe's encouraging words before I went out there in the office, that he gave me the opportunity. I mean, and that's what I told him. I've come too far and worked too hard to not, you know, make the appearance and give. You know, try and do what I needed to do to, you know, if I weren't able to make that start because of this leg, I would have let a lot of guys down that clubhouse. And then once I knew that, you know, I told Jorge once I had a good fastball, I was just going to have to go with it and continue to challenge guys. And they came at me hard, but the velocity was there last time also. The movement was good again tonight. The only thing that maybe suffered a little bit was my location to try and, when I got ahead, to, you know, to pitch a guy on the corner somewhere and try and put him away in that manner. But we're glad we're moving on, and we're fortunate to be doing so, and so it's a nice feeling.
Yes, Ken.
Roger, how much you and Mel and Skip were shouting? How much did it take?
Well, it was kind of one-sided. Joe just put it to me point blank, and Mel and I had already talked about it during my workouts in Oakland, that we're going to go pedal to the metal, and if it goes in the bullpen, it goes. I've got plenty of help. A lot of help out there tonight. I think everybody had their spikes on, every pitcher, so we knew we had a lot of help. And you know, Joe put it to me point blank, and I just wanted to reassure him that that's what I was going to do. I wasn't going to try and leave anything in there, and if it went, it went. And it was a blessing. I think the only around the fourth inning, it just started to get heavy. It never had that biting feeling I had prior to. So again, a lot of thanks to the medical staff. They've been working hard trying to get this thing ready. So it was nice to, you know, even do what I did. So.
Take our last question right here.
You're an emotional pitcher to begin with. Having Mike, Andy, El Duque out there, does it even change your emotions even more, make you even higher?
Does it make your emotions even greater when you have the other three guys behind you?
Well, you don't have to pace yourself, again, with our great bullpen. And like I said, everybody had their spikes on, and knowing those guys are out there too, it even adds, you know, it's even, you know, don't think for a minute. I saw Andy out there with his spikes on while I was warming up. He was sitting in the bullpen, and I realized that fact. So I knew that I had to go hard from the get-go and make it look good as best I could, because, you know, I've got those two watching, you know, Skip and Mel, they're watching me. If they know I'm favoring anything, he would probably come and got me quicker than he did. And just try to be as honest as I could with him. But give the credit to the guys. They battled so hard, and once we got the lead, against this team. Against Oakland, we had to preserve it and hang on to it. So we were fortunate we did.
Thanks, Roger.
So he hiked his socks to honor El Duque for giving him the opportunity. That's pretty neat, and it's amazing what Roger Clemens has evolved into over the time he's been with the Yankees, the team leader, the team spokesman, and he may not have been great tonight, but pitching into the fifth inning and preventing the Yankees from needing Andy Pettitte and Mike Mussina, or a combination of both of them, gives them a chance now in the ALCS. I mean, if Andy Pettitte had to pitch tonight, I think I was pitching Game 3 in the ALCS.
I don't think you'd be out there. Let's be real. But anyway, I agree with you, though. The last resort would have been for Joe to if Roger couldn't have gone any further. I mean, he would have had to go. He did not want to go this start.
That was just enough. All right, let's go back to Yankee Stadium now. Derek Jeter, once again in a starring role, 2 hits, a single and a double, but the catch in the 8th inning where he sacrificed his body and actually got bloodied in a Game 5. Let's go back to the clubhouse.
How does this rank with all the things you guys have done over the years since '96?
Well, this is huge. This was tough for us. Being down, 5-game series is scary. I mean, it's a short series, anything can happen. And when you lose the first 2 games at home, it's not a great situation to be in. But we've played well on the road before, and we don't mind playing on the road, so we had a lot of confidence.
Derek, how about that play that you made in the 8th inning? Can you describe it? I mean, did you get hurt?
Well, I caught it. Next thing you know, I was on my back, my legs up in the air. So, you just, in the postseason, like I said earlier, you got to take every out that you can get, and that was a huge out because those guys, they had a runner on base, and anyone in that team's capable of hitting a home run.
How about the crowd chanting your name? They wanted a curtain call when you're in the dugout. Did you hear that?
I think I was with the trainer. So, I heard them chanting, but, the game was so close, you really got to try to focus on. We had to try to focus on offense.
What did it mean at the beginning of the game when Rizzuto did what he did, recreated your backflip? You didn't?
No. Mr. Torrey told me about it, but I have to check it out. I haven't seen it.
And how about what did the crowd mean to this team tonight?
It was huge. This is as loud as I think it's been. You can compare it to '96. When we're in the World Series. We haven't been there in a while, but this is as loud as I can remember.
What did it mean to lift this?
2 all-time plays in this American League Divisional Series 5-game win by Derek Jeter. Boy, did he contribute in a big way. When we come back, we'll continue. We'll be going back out to Yankee Stadium, hearing from all the particulars, getting more perhaps from the Oakland A's, and definitely from the New York Yankees. Michael Kay will join us live. This is how Mariano Rivera nailed it down versus Eric Burns. He was overmatched, and the stadium erupted again. The Yankees become the first team ever to lose the first 2 at home and still win.
World Series, the loudest this place ever was in '95 when Buck Showalter got announced. The Yankees had that long postseason drought, and then I thought that when the Girardi hit the triple in the 6th game of the '96 World Series, the place was rocking. But it was like that from the very beginning, and I think that had an effect on the A's. The A's played a very sloppy game. I think they became unnerved at times. I think Mulder became unnerved as well. The Yankees got some cheapy runs, but they held up. And I think the highlight of the start of the game, and for some reason it wasn't carried on TV, Phil Rizzuto and Yogi Berra both threw out the first pitch. Yogi Berra threw his to Todd Green. Phil Rizzuto threw his to Clay Bellinger. But he had made an arrangement with Bellinger that after he threw the pitch, he was going to do something else. So Bellinger stayed at home plate. Green and Berra went. And then Phil Rizzuto took a ball out of his pocket, his sport jacket, and he started jogging toward the first baseline about 15 feet from Bellinger, and he did a backflip. He recreated the Jeter move, and it brought the house down. After that, everybody was up for grabs. It was so loud and thunderous, people couldn't believe that he did it, and that really set the tone for the whole night, especially emotion-wise with the crowd.
At the age of 83. How did that not make it on television?
I'm amazed. It was such a thrilling, electric event that this guy would think of doing that. He said he actually thought of it when he saw Jeter do it in Game 3 watching on TV, and then he recreated it beautifully. And the amazing thing, Al, is that he made a perfect flip just like Jeter, and he said he had never done that as a player. He said, but he knew that Jeter probably knew that Rizzuto looked better doing it, but he said, I'll let Derek keep it, though.
Boy, we were just talking a moment ago, Mike. Roger Clemens, not great, but he went just far enough into this game to really save the day for the possibilities of the ALCS.
Absolutely, because he gave them into the 5th inning, and then they turned it over to Stanton. They wanted to get 5 out of him, and Jorge Posada told me he was really battling, really gritty, but he didn't have great stuff because everything was up in the zone. You heard what Joe Torre said. He doesn't even know if Clemens is going to be available for the ALCS. He really got hit on the ankle very hard as well. He's got an ice pack around it. But what he did was take it it to the 5th inning, and then the Yankee bullpen was able to take it through to the 9th with Rivera pitching 2 innings. And what that does, guys, if you think about it, the Yankees are set up beautifully for the postseason. Andy Pettitte starts with more than 1 day more than he would normally have. Mike Messina starts game 2. Orlando Hernandez starts game 3. And the only monkey wrench that gets thrown into the plans is if Clemens can't go. If Clemens can go, he pitches the 4th game, and that's a pretty good 4th game pitcher to have. So the Yankees are set up about as great as they could be set up for the ALCS right now, at least pitching-wise.
Right.
Well, that's what happens, Michael, when you're 4 deep with your starters, and they are 4 deep. I mean, Clemens is not going to pitch till game 4 right now, so you got an off day. He's going to have plenty of time to get treatment for that hamstring. I'm not worried about the line drive off his ankle. That'll just be a bruise. The big concern has got to be his hamstring, and he's got a long time. If he's not pitching until game 4, there's 2 off days in between. That's going to be a 5-day rest period for him before he comes back and pitches.
Yeah,
and his arm will be rested.
Yeah, his arm will be rested. He should be okay, and obviously they'll work on him. The interesting thing, Keith, will be if the Yankees are sure he's going to be okay, because if he's not, if they're not sure, and they make out the roster, well, they might not even put him on, but my gut feeling is that they will. The only other option they would have is to bring Randy Choate, another reliever, or possibly Ted Lilly. So the Yankees have to weigh, do we want Ted Lilly starting game 4 or Sterling Hitchcock, or do we want a less than 100% Roger Clemens? I think they go with Clemens because Clemens has a pretty good feeling about the Mariners. He struck out 15 and pitched one of the best games he's ever pitched in last year's ALCS in Seattle.
Now, Mike, one other good thing happened for the Yankees as far as pitching goes. Jamie Moyer had to pitch game 5, so that reduces his availability for Seattle in a series.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to start with Aaron Seeley, a guy that the Yankees hit very well. Freddie Garcia can't even pitch game 2, so he's going to have to end up pitching game 3. The Yankees could not have a better matchup the way it plays out right now. And, you know, when they were down 2-0, people are ready to write eulogies. And here they are going into the ALCS about as excellently put out as they could possibly be. I mean, they couldn't plan this any better. And, Andy Pettitte with an extra day of rest, and then Mike Messina with an extra day of rest. It's a pretty good situation for the Yanks.
Yeah, they couldn't have. The only way they could have planned it better if they'd have had game 1 and 2 in New York instead of going to Seattle.
But
that's the only way they can have it better.
They would have had to win 117 games, so I don't know if that could happen.
Hey, Mike, what were you guys saying on the broadcast, 3rd and 4th inning when the A's were imploding?
Well, you could just tell. I felt that because the stadium crowd was so loud and so energetic, I thought that it was getting to them. And everybody I spoke to around the A's, Art Howe was trying to say that they were very loose on the plane. But this team was not loose after Mike Messina's game. They were very tight. Some of the players were talking, wow, I can't believe how good this Yankee team is. And I felt that Orlando Hernandez probably put it best after his game yesterday. He said, although we were behind, we felt like we were ahead, and that's the feeling that they had, especially after the Messina game. I think the Messina game turned the whole thing around because it started to make the A's think, oh no. I mean, their assistant GM, J.P. Ricciardi, actually said, I'm not going to think they're dead until they're dead. They're like the Wicked Witch of the West. Well, nobody drove a stake through their heart. They're not dead. They don't give up. This team just does not quit. And it persevered, and it battled through with El Duque not at his top, and they won that game on Sunday. And you just had a feeling. The only question about this game, would Clemens be good enough to hold it down? Would he not give up the ship early? And he battled, and he gave up only a couple of runs and gave them into the 5th inning. And then you pretty much knew that the Yankees were home free because I just think the A's didn't think they were going to win. Jason Giambi really tried to carry them on his back, 4 hits after a bad series coming into this. But this team was scared. I really believe that. That's a tough word to use, but this crowd was scary. It really was. If you were an opposing player, a young pitcher, it was hard to concentrate, and I think it got to them. I really do.
Hey, Mike, you can use scared. Keith Hernandez used choke. That's open season now.
I'll go with scared.
I hate to use the term, but this was one of the bigger chokes I've seen. Another point, too, Michael, I think that if it's an ultimate second guess, but when you're up 2 games to love and you've got the hottest Yankee pitcher in Messina pitching game 3, and you have the luxury of maybe throwing, I felt maybe he could have thrown Lytle the 3rd game and put Zito back 1 with an extra day's rest to go against El Duque, who hasn't really been on form because he had the 2-game lead, and he could have had the luxury of doing that flip-flop. And I know this is an ultimate second guess.
Absolutely. It is an ultimate second guess, but, in hindsight, it sounds like a pretty good move because Zito pitched so well. He happened to be outdueled by Mike Messina, but I think he pitched the best of any of the A's starters. And I thought the top three guys did a good job. Corey Lytle, I think he was the guy least equipped to handle the pressure. He did not do well in that game. He seemed like he did not want to throw the baseball. And, although El Duque didn't have his best stuff, Lytle certainly didn't. And Lytle had pitched so well coming into that game, and he just fell apart. And, once everybody got on those flights, the A's had to take the 3,000-mile flight, and the Yankees did. I don't think there were many people in baseball that thought the Yankees were going to lose this game.
Mike, one more thing. What was the celebration like in the clubhouse? Was there champagne? Was there no champagne?
Well, Bud Selig has said that there's no champagne. He doesn't want any champagne sprayed during any of the celebrations. And I know that the Atlanta Braves sprayed beer around when they swept the Astros. The Yankees didn't do anything of that sort. Maybe they did some celebrating in their lounge, which is off limits to the media. But nobody was drenched. Nobody smelled of any beer. So I think they were just happy and they just moved on. It's going to be a very sticky thing about celebrating being a New York team. I mean, just a couple of miles away, there's devastation like people have never seen before. I think they really have to be careful about celebrating. So there was no liquor, there was no beer being sprayed. They were happy, but mostly the media was crowding around the clubhouse, and every time a Yankee came out, they were jumping on them. So they didn't have a lot of time to do anything. I think it was the proper respect they showed not to do it.
All right, Mike, you're exactly right. Meanwhile, I think a good reporter would have interviewed George Steinbrenner, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So Michael Kay interviewed George Steinbrenner. Let's listen on what the boss had to say.
George, could you tell us if you really believed after you won the first two or lost the first two games?
I wasn't sure. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think there were too many guys that were sure that we could do it because it was such a monumental task. I mean, no other team had ever done it in a 5-game series, losing the first 2 games at home, and the second one was a very emotional game, and we weren't doing all the things, the hitting that we had to have. I still give great credit to Messina, to all of our players, but I thought that was a gutty performance he gave.
How proud are you of this team after what they've gone through and what the city's gone through?
Well, I think what the city's gone through, they need what this team did today for them. There's no doubt about what happened today, I mean, they went out and they fought and they didn't give in. Just like New Yorkers, same thing. This is what this city is. It's a city of battlers. What have I told you many times, Michael? You go into a lunch counter at noon, I don't care if you're Steinbrenner, Rockefeller, or who you are. You battle to get that seat at the counter. If you're trying to get a cab in the morning, you got your hand up like everybody else. You may get it, you may not. This city is full of battlers, New York.
Now, one of them is Derek Jeter. Can you tell us what you thought of his play all series?
Probably. I don't want to take credit from any of them because they all battled so tremendously. But he's a big game player, as good as any I've seen. And I've coached a lot of them, thought I've seen a lot of them, but I never saw anything like the last couple of days out of that guy.
How does this rate out of all the championships you've won? And this isn't even a championship yet.
No, this rate's right at the top. Right at the top, really does, because of the emotion, because of what these young men have been through here in this city. I mean, you play every day, you listen to the stories, you see it on your television. It can't help but affect you. When I go down there to Ground Zero and see it, it leaves me with an empty stomach, and I'm not having to do anything except eat.
And fighting for that seat at the lunch counter. Mike, I sense this is an emotional owner. I mean, he's been that way for the last few championships, and I sense behind those sunglasses there were some red eyes.
Well, I think he was emotional about this, and I really liked the interview because I got the lunch counter thing out of him, I got the cab thing out of him, I got the football thing out of him. I think I covered all the bases.
Yeah, and as we've always said, no one does that like you.
No, he was emotional, and I think the things going on with the city and the fact that this team was down 2-0, it's emotional for everybody. I mean, this crowd was singing New York, New York as